All right, so we're diving deep today, and I'm excited about this one. It's a piece by Yuja, and let me tell you, it really got me thinking. It's about this idea of, like, being forced or pressured, and yi, which is more like grinding or polishing, and how those ideas kind of play into, well, personal growth.
Yeah, definitely a thought-provoking piece for sure.
Oh, yeah. And he starts off, the author, with this story about taking his daughter ziplining, which, talk about pressure, right? Height, speed, the whole shebang.
Right.
And he even admits that, like, wanting to push her a little, even though she was clearly scared. A classic dad move, am I right? But he does get that awesome flying figure picture in the end, but it really does make you wonder, like, how much of the growth we experience actually comes from being pushed, maybe even forced out of our comfort zones.
Absolutely. And it's interesting how he then brings in this classic story, iron rod ground into a needle, but with a twist. He calls it iron rod forced to become a needle, which, well, it just makes you question, would that iron rod choose to become a needle? It really highlights the difference between choosing growth and having it kind of imposed on you.
Totally. And he doesn't shy away from how that idea of force or pressure is pretty much everywhere in our lives, right? Like, think about something simple, like twisting a screw.
Yeah.
Needs force, right?
Sure.
Or, societal pressures on kids to succeed, like get good grades, go to the right college, the whole 9 yards. It's kind of crazy when you think about it.
Yeah, for sure. Those expectations can be a lot.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And where do you feel that in your own life? We all experience it, right? Could be a tough job, expectations from family, maybe even just your own internal drive, always pushing for more.
Mm-hmm. All of that, for sure. It's definitely something we all encounter at some point.
And this is where he kind of pivots to this idea of the grinding and polishing. He's more into this approach, seeing it as like refining something precious. Like, think about how a chef prepares a meal. They got to grind spices, carefully slice ingredients, really take their time to make it perfect. And it's gradual, right? Like this transformational, refined process.
Yeah, a very deliberate and intentional kind of process.
Exactly. And I really dig how he connects this refinement to the Christian concept of spiritual fruit. Like those qualities in Galatians: love, joy, peace, patience, all that good stuff.
Right.
He sees life's challenges as like God's way of shaping us, almost like a grindstone, smoothing away our rough edges.
Absolutely. It's this idea that even though the process might be tough, it ultimately refines us and helps us develop those qualities that are so important in the Christian faith.
Right. And this is where that diamond analogy comes in. He asks, do you see the diamond's future? Which, it's a powerful image, right? A diamond, even in its rough state, still has that inherent value. But it's the cutting and polishing that reveals its brilliance.
It's a great analogy because, a diamond in its rough form doesn't really look that impressive. But once it goes through that process of being cut and polished, its true beauty shines through.
Exactly. And he's saying that hardship, when we look at it through a lens of faith, can actually be the force that reveals our true potential, our God-given brilliance, so to speak.
Yeah. It's this shift in perspective, right? Seeing those challenges not as something to be avoided, but as opportunities for growth and refinement.
It really makes you think about how we view challenges, doesn't it? Instead of resisting the forcing or the grinding, can we see them as opportunities to grow, to become more like Christ? Can we actually choose to see the me in our lives as a Leah, refine us, shaping us into something more beautiful, more resilient, more aligned with God's purpose for us?
And I think that's a really key point. It's about how we choose to frame these challenges, whether we see them as obstacles or as opportunities for growth and refinement.
Right on. So as you go about your day, just think about where you see that at work in your life.
Yeah.
And maybe, just maybe, you can choose to see it as a refining force, shaping you into something extraordinary, something that reflects the image of God more fully.
It's a powerful way to think about personal growth, and I think a really encouraging message for anyone who's going through a difficult time.
Totally agree. Well, that's our deep dive for today, folks. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.